My name is Cassia Wynn, 28 years old. Snow hadn't started falling yet in Michigan that morning, but the sky had that dim silver look that meant it would before nightfall. I was standing in my kitchen, tying my hair into a low ponytail and glancing at the grocery bags lined up by the door. Flour, apples, chicken, oil. Another Saturday. Another lunch I'd cook for everyone while they carried on with their lives. I told myself it was tradition, something warm, something that held us together. But lately it felt like a job I'd never applied for. By 10 a.m., I was at my parents' house, apron on, the chicken sizzling in the pan while the apple pie baked in the oven. The smell was comforting, sweet, sharp, buttery, but also strangely sad. I'd been doing this every Saturday for almost 2 years now. Somewhere along the line, "Oh, Cassia, you don't have to," had turned into, "Cassia, pick up chicken thighs on your way." From the kitchen doorway, I could see the whole picture of my family. My father, Frank Wynn, sat on the couch watching football, the same old team that broke his heart every season. My mom, Evelyn, chased my nieces around as they screamed and laughed, their sneakers thudding against the hardwood. And my older sister, Megan, sat at the dining table, ring light glowing, her phone propped up as she smiled into the camera. "Hey, ladies, we've got a flash sale on these new spring dresses," she said to her followers. Her voice carried over the sound of frying oil. I turned down the burner and wiped my hands. "Hey, everyone," I said. "I've got some news." No one looked up. I hesitated. Maybe they hadn't heard. "I got promoted," I said a little louder. "They're transferring me to Denver, senior clinical specialist." Dad grunted at the TV. Mom caught one of the girls before she crashed into a lamp. Megan kept smiling into her phone. I stood there, my words hanging in the air like steam from the pan, no response, no congratulations. Just more football, more noise. When the pie timer went off, I went back to the kitchen. My hands were trembling slightly as I pulled it from the oven. I told myself they'd mention it later, after lunch. Maybe they just needed a minute. By the time the food was ready, I'd lost the small flicker of excitement I'd brought with me that morning. I called everyone to the table and passed around the dishes. "So, like I said earlier," I tried again, forcing my voice to sound casual, "I got promoted. 15% raise. Relocation bonus, too." Before I could even breathe, Megan gasped, not at me, but at her phone. "Oh my God, you guys, I made $2,200 today." Dad turned his attention to her. Mom's face lit up. "That's wonderful, honey." They spent 10 minutes talking about her boutique, her followers, her sales. I chewed a piece of chicken that suddenly tasted like cardboard. "Cassia, can you clean up what the girls spilled under the table?" Mom said, not looking at me. "And cut their chicken smaller, please. They'll choke." I did it quietly. The floor was sticky. I cleaned it anyway. They kept talking about Megan's brand, about maybe hiring an assistant soon. I stared at the apple pie cooling on the counter and thought about how I'd spent last Christmas at her house, packing orders for her store while she went live to her customers. I'd cut tape until my fingers cracked. She'd thanked me once, in passing. That was the thing about my family. They noticed effort only when it wasn't theirs. Later, when lunch ended, Dad returned to his game. Mom took the girls outside, and Megan started another live stream. I washed the dishes alone, wiped the counters, and gathered my things. No one said goodbye when I left. At home, I sat on my couch, staring at the blank TV. Then I opened our family group chat, the squad. I typed, "Just wanted to let everyone know officially that I'll be moving to Denver on the 15th. The company is handling most of the logistics, but I'll be busy packing the next couple of weeks. Love you all." All three of them read it within a minute. Those little check marks appeared. No replies. 20 minutes passed. Nothing. Then my mom sent a photo of the girls eating my pie. These angels enjoying Aunt Cassia's delicious dessert. A few minutes later, Megan wrote, "New record today, $2,400 in sales." Mom replied with a string of emojis. I put the phone face down. Tears came quietly. It wasn't about attention. It was about being seen at all. The next 2 weeks blurred into boxes, labels, and phone calls. I gave notice to my landlord, transferred utilities, and stacked my life into cardboard. The day the movers arrived, I was carrying a box to my car when my phone rang. "Cassia," Mom's voice said, "I need you to come Saturday. Megan has a supplier meeting, and I've got a doctor's appointment. You'll watch the girls." I stared at the truck, half filled with my furniture. "Mom, I told you, I'm leaving for Colorado today. I sent that message 2 weeks ago." She went silent, then sighed. "Well, we'll talk later." Click. I stood there holding the phone, waiting for some emotion to hit. Anger, hurt, guilt. But there was nothing left, just exhaustion. 7 hours into the drive, somewhere past the flat cornfields of Iowa, my phone buzzed again. A text. "What do you mean you're leaving for Colorado?" I didn't respond. The highway stretched ahead, endless and clean. When I arrived in Denver, I checked into a small hotel, the kind that smelled faintly of bleach and coffee. The next day, I found a short-term apartment, a furnished one-bedroom near the office. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. My first week at the new job was a rush of faces and systems and meetings, but every night I came home to quiet, the kind that didn't demand anything from me. 3 weeks later, my mom posted in the family chat again, "Family party for Aunt Karen's 60th birthday. Cassia, come early to help set up. Probably around 1 p.m. Party starts at 4. I stared at the message. No question mark. Just a command, like I still live 30 minutes away instead of 1,000 miles. Saturday came and went. I unpacked more boxes, made myself pasta, watched a movie. Around 3, the text started. "Where are you, Megan?" "Cassia, we're waiting." "Mom." "Your mother needs help." "Dad." I silenced my phone and set it in a drawer. That evening, I saw 15 new messages. The last one from Mom read, "You are so selfish. Aunt Karen was asking about you. We didn't know what to tell her." I called her. She answered immediately. "Where have you been? Do you know how embarrassing—" "I moved to another state, Mom, remember?" Silence. "I told you, I sent a message in the family chat. You read it." "Well, I don't remember seeing that. This is the first I'm hearing about it." I almost laughed. "You read it, Mom. I saw the check marks." "Well, fine," she said, tone stiff. "But do you know how inconvenient this is? We're struggling without you. Your father's back hurts. Megan needs help with the girls. It's so much harder now." I waited for her to ask how I was. She didn't. "Speaking of Megan," Mom continued, "she found a great opportunity for her boutique, but she needs some capital. Maybe you could help her. 5 or 10,000? You got that relocation bonus, right?" "Mom, I have to go," I said. "Someone's at the door." "Wait, about the money." I hung up. In the quiet of that apartment, I realized it wasn't distance that had made me invisible. It was proximity. I'd been so close, they stopped seeing me as a person altogether. Now, for the first time, I was far enough away to see them clearly. Denver changed the air in my lungs. The first week, I could still smell Michigan on my clothes, cooking oil, detergent from my mom's house, the faint sweetness of Megan's boutique perfume that always lingered on everything. But by the second month, all of it was gone. Work was intense, the kind of demanding that used to drain me, but now felt like freedom. My boss, a sharp, kind woman named Darcy, respected what I did. People asked for my opinion. When I stayed late, it was for myself, not to prove anything to anyone. Evenings became mine. I'd walk home through streets edged with mountains instead of cornfields. I discovered a coffee shop with soft jazz and cinnamon cappuccinos, a place where the barista remembered my name. No one there knew about Megan's boutique or my mom's endless errands. They just knew me as Cassia, the new senior clinical specialist. Months blurred into seasons. Denver turned green, then gold, then white. I found small ways to fill the silence. Morning runs, weekend markets, books I'd never had time to read. When Christmas came, I bought a tiny fake tree and put it by the window. No one called that day. The quiet felt heavy, but not empty. By the time spring came around, I realized I hadn't heard a single word from my family in almost a year. No birthday messages, no "how are you?" Nothing. Strangely, it didn't hurt anymore. It just confirmed what I already knew. I threw myself into work and it paid off. 6 months after moving, Darcy called me into her office. "You've exceeded every target," she said. "We want to promote you to lead clinical specialist." I smiled, trying not to cry. The day I'd waited my whole life for, a room full of people clapping for me, and the people I used to crave acknowledgement from weren't even in the room. Another year passed. My salary nearly doubled. I bought an apartment in Cherry Creek, a small building surrounded by trees that turned gold in autumn. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen I loved, a balcony that caught the morning light. The first night I slept there, I whispered, "It's mine." The walls echoed back softly, like they agreed. I adopted a dog, a poodle named Max. He was hyper, smart, and loved everyone he met. Walking him every morning grounded me in a way I didn't expect. Denver began to feel like home. 3 months later, Max decided to fall in love with a beagle at the park. The Beagle's owner was a man named Ethan, tall, calm, with the kind of smile that made you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. They seemed to get along, he said, as our dogs wrestled in the grass. Yeah, I said, watching them. Instant friendship. I'm a little jealous. He laughed. I'm Ethan. Cassia. The next week, we ran into each other again at the park, then again at a coffee shop. The third time he asked, would it be crazy if I bought you a cup of coffee on purpose this time? It wasn't crazy. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became weekends. He owned a startup that made rehabilitation equipment for clinics. Hardworking, funny, careful with his words. The first time I told him about my family, he listened, really listened. He didn't try to fix it. He just said, it sounds like you spent years trying to earn love that should have been free. And I realized he was right. 2 years after I'd left Michigan, my life looked completely different. Work, friends, a home, a partner, a dog. Stability, peace. Then, one Saturday afternoon, my Aunt Madison visited. She was my mom's younger sister. Same kind smile, but sharper eyes. The kind that noticed more than you wanted her to. Cassia, this place is gorgeous, she said, stepping inside and spinning slowly to take it all in. You've done so well for yourself. I poured her coffee, laughed off the compliment. I've just been working. A lot. She nodded. It shows. We spent the afternoon talking about her kids, my job, Denver weather. She asked gentle questions. She didn't once mention Megan. Before leaving, she asked, can I take a photo of your living room? I want to remember it. You've made it so warm. Sure, I said, smiling. That evening, I saw her post on social media, a bright picture of my living room bathed in golden light. The caption read, visiting my niece Cassia in her beautiful Denver home. She's thriving, independent, and happy. So proud of her. I smiled when I read it. For once, someone in my family saw me, but the comments started pouring in. Cousin Carol, what a lovely place. Uncle Ron, Denver looks expensive. Good for her. And then I saw it. My mother's comment. So proud of our Cassia. She's accomplished so much. Our girl always makes us proud. Our Cassia. As if she'd been part of this journey. As if she'd called even once. Later that night, Madison sent me a screenshot of the family chat. Megan, did you see Madison's post? Cassia's place looks pricey, and she has a boyfriend with a business. We should ask her to help us. She probably has savings now. Mom, good idea. I'll reach out to her. I stared at the screen. My chest went cold. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Cassia, honey, your father and I miss you so much. It's been too long. How have you been? Then Megan. Your apartment looks amazing. So proud of you. So happy you're doing so well. And before I could even type a reply, another message from Mom. We'd love to come visit. We've already bought tickets. We'll arrive tomorrow at noon. Dad, me, Megan, and the girls. Can't wait to see you. It'll be just like old times. I read it 3 times. Already bought tickets. They didn't ask. They just decided. I called Ethan. He answered on the second ring. My family is coming tomorrow, I said, my voice flat. They saw Madison's post. They didn't even ask. They just booked flights. He was quiet for a long moment. Be careful, Cassia. People don't usually reappear after 2 years unless they want something. I know. Do you want me there tomorrow? I shook my head even though he couldn't see me. No, I need to handle this myself. Then promise me you'll remember one thing, he said gently. You don't owe them access just because they share your blood. I promised. After we hung up, I sat in silence, Max asleep at my feet, the Denver skyline flickering outside my window. My family, my absence of a family, was flying 1,000 miles to step into the life I'd built without them. And I could already feel it. Tomorrow wasn't going to be a reunion. It was going to be a test. They arrived right on schedule, noon sharp. The doorbell rang like a warning. I took a deep breath, smoothed my sweater, and opened the door. Cassia, Mom exclaimed, wrapping her arms around me so tightly I could barely breathe. Her perfume was the same as always, powdery and too strong, the kind that clung for hours. Oh, sweetheart, look at you. Behind her stood my dad, holding a cake box with pride. We brought your favorite, he said, sour cream cake. Sour cream cake had never been my favorite, but I smiled anyway. Thanks, Dad. Megan followed them in, her daughters trailing behind, already running toward the couch. Wow, she said, scanning the apartment. This place is something. Very fancy. It's not fancy, I said evenly. It's home. The girls were already touching everything: books, decorations, the vase of flowers on my table. I gently took a glass sculpture from the older one's hands. Please be careful with that. It's fragile. She's just curious, Megan said without looking up from her phone. Relax, Cassia. I went to the kitchen to make tea. From there, I could hear my dad flipping on the TV, the sports channel humming through the living room. My mother's voice drifted in. This is quite extravagant, isn't it? Followed by Megan's laugh. When I returned with the tray of cups, they were all seated comfortably, as if they'd lived there for years. I handed everyone their tea and sat across from them. So, I said quietly, why are you here? Mom blinked. What do you mean? We came to see you. It's been ages. 2 years, I said. And in those 2 years, not one call, not one text. You didn't know where I lived. But then Aunt Madison posted a photo, and suddenly you booked flights overnight. That's not fair, Megan said quickly. We've been busy. Life happens. Busy, I repeated. Right. Dad cleared his throat, avoiding my eyes. We wanted to reconnect as a family. I looked at him for a long time. Or you needed something. Mom sighed. Cassia, please don't start with that attitude. We came with good intentions. But yes, there's something we need to discuss. There it was, the real reason. Megan glanced at Mom, who nodded. Fine, she said, folding her hands. You deserve to know. After 5 years of running my online boutique, I decided to expand. I opened a physical store back home. It was supposed to be our big step forward. But the rent was outrageous, the location was terrible, and sales tanked. How bad? I asked, already knowing I wouldn't like the answer. Megan hesitated. $42,000 bad. Lease debt. I had to close the store. My father leaned forward. We invested our retirement savings to help her get started, he added quietly. We thought it would work out. We lost everything, Mom said softly. So, we were thinking... She paused, looking at me as if she was measuring her words. You could help. How? I asked, my voice steady. You could sell this apartment, she said, as if it were obvious. Help your sister pay off the debt. You don't really need such a big place. And your boyfriend has money, doesn't he? You could move in with him. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. You want me to sell my home? It's just an apartment, Megan said. You can always buy another one later. Family comes first, Cassia. I laughed quietly. Family comes first? Since when? Mom frowned. Don't be cruel. We're in a crisis. I leaned back in my chair, letting silence stretch between us. Then I said, Do you remember when I got promoted, when I moved here? Mom's brows furrowed. Of course. No, you don't, I said. Because when I told you, none of you even looked up. When I sent a message about moving, you left it on read. When I stopped showing up every Saturday, you didn't ask why. But now that you're broke, I'm suddenly part of the family again. Megan bristled. That's not fair. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Employees, rent, taxes. I understand perfectly, I interrupted, because I spent years supporting you, packing your boxes, babysitting your kids, covering for you. And not once did you offer to help me. Not once did you ask if I was okay. Mom's voice trembled. We didn't mean to hurt you. Maybe not, I said. But you did, and I'm done paying the price for your choices. Dad rubbed his forehead. Cassia, be reasonable. We can't recover without your help. I stood up. Then maybe you should have thought about that before using your retirement as venture capital. The girls had gone quiet, sensing the tension. Megan stood too. So that's it? You're just going to sit here in your fancy apartment and watch us fall apart? I met her eyes. I watched you ignore me for years. That was falling apart, Megan. You just didn't notice. Her jaw tightened. You've changed. Good, I said. That was the point. Mom started to cry. You're choosing money over family. No, I said softly. I'm choosing myself, something I should have done a long time ago. I walked to the door and opened it. This visit is over. Dad stood but didn't move. We flew 1,000 miles, Cassia. I didn't invite you, I said. You decided to come without asking. Now I'm deciding to end it. Megan's eyes glistened with tears that looked more angry than sad. We wouldn't have asked if we weren't desperate. That's the problem, I said. You only come to me when you're desperate. They gathered their things. The girls clutched their stuffed animals, confused. Megan stopped at the doorway. I didn't think you'd become so cold. I'm not cold, I said. I'm free. And I closed the door. For a while, I just stood there. My hands were shaking. Max pressed his head against my leg, sensing the storm inside me. Over the next few days, the messages poured in. Mom begging, Dad apologizing awkwardly, Megan alternating between guilt and rage. Then a long email arrived, Megan outlining how, without my help, they'd lose the house, the business, their stability. She called it a moral plea. I read it once and archived it. Weeks passed. Then one evening, my phone rang again. Mom. I let it ring twice before answering. Hi, Mom. Cassia, she said quietly. I'm calling to apologize, for all of us. You didn't deserve how we treated you. I said nothing. We used you, she admitted, and when you stopped letting us, we blamed you for it. I'm sorry. Her voice was soft, trembling. For the first time, she wasn't defensive. She was just honest. We'd like to fix things, she said, if you're willing, on your terms, when you're ready. I swallowed hard. I appreciate that, but I need time. I understand, she whispered. We'll wait. We hung up. I sat on the balcony watching the city fade into night. The air smelled like pine and snow. Max curled at my feet. Ethan came out, 2 cups of tea in his hands. You okay? Yeah, I said, taking one. I think I am. We stood in silence, looking out at the Denver skyline. Somewhere down there, the world was still rushing by. But up here, it was quiet. Ethan squeezed my hand. You know, he said, smiling, you didn't lose a family. You just found yourself. I smiled back. Maybe that's enough. And for the first time, it truly was.